All right, welcome back to ABA exam review and the continuation of our RBT practice question series where we're going through another set of questions together and breaking them down. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Please like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. Check out btexamreview.com for all of our study materials, including our combo pack. When you pass your exam, please let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. Let's get going. Rachel requests to listen to the same song every day in the car. Annoyed, her mom starts to ignore these requests after the 15th day in the row of the same song, leading to Rachel requesting even more than before. How might we define Rachel's mom's behavior? I think the most difficult part about this question, and with many of these behavior questions, is focusing on the behavior that the question wants you to address. In this case, we are defining Rachel's mom's behavior because we have two people here. We've got Rachel and we've got the mom. Rachel is making the request to listen to the same song. And then in response to what her mom does, she starts to request even more. So what has her mom done? Well, after the 15th day, Rachel's mom is ignoring those requests. So before, Rachel would ask for a song, her mom would reinforce it and give her the song. After that behavior continued, on the 15th day, her mom refused to give the song or was ignoring the request and no longer delivering reinforcement. So she was stopping reinforcement for previously reinforced behavior, which we know is a extinction. Now, if we look at Rachel's behavior, Rachel is likely going through an extinction burst, but we're not looking at Rachel's behavior, we're looking at her mom's behavior. There is no spontaneous recovery going on. Extinction is actively taking place. And this is not an antecedent intervention. Extinction is a consequence intervention. It's happening following a response. So we have to focus on whose behavior the question wants you to address. In this case, it's the mom's behavior, and she is implementing, or we can define her behavior as extinction. You are approaching a red light and preparing to make a right turn on red when you see a police car. Once you see a police car, you make a full stop at the red light before making your turn to prevent yourself from getting a ticket. The police car is acting as a blank relative to making a full stop. Now, I like this question because it's a good demonstration of how the stimuli can represent what consequences available. And when we think about SDs, discriminative stimuli, we're thinking about a stimulus, an antecedent stimulus that is signaling that a consequence is available. So if you're approaching this red light and you're going to make this right turn on red, what is the police car signaling to you? Well, it's signaling two things. One, it's signaling punishment is available as through a ticket or being pulled over if you break the law, but it's also signaling to you that negative reinforcement is available. Because if you make this full stop, what happens? Well, you avoid the ticket, which is exactly what has happened here. You've avoided getting this ticket by making that full stop at the red light. So the police car is acting as a what relative to making the full stop? Well, it's acting as the discriminative stimulus. It's evoking your behavior. It's signaling to you if you engage in the full stop response, you're going to avoid getting a ticket, which will lead to negative reinforcement because you've avoided the ticket. You removed the threat of the ticket, increasing your behavior in the future. It isn't a prompt, right? Because a prompt become in between that police car and you making that full stop. Not what happened here. And it isn't a consequence because the police car comes before making that full stop. So this is a really good indication of how discriminative stimulus, or the SD, works. It signals that some sort of consequence is available for engaging in a certain response. Your daughter has a new cup that is shaped like a bear. She is using it at dinner when she starts to put her hands in her soup. After warning you take the cup away the next time she puts her hands in her soup. She no longer does this at dinner time. What consequence did you use? All right, so when we talk about consequences, we always want to talk about how is the behavior changing, because consequences change future behavior. So our behavior here is what? Well, the daughter is putting her hands in her soup. And the question says she is no longer doing that at dinner time. So what has happened to that behavior? It's decreased. And how does a behavior decrease? What consequence decreases a behavior? Well, either punishment or extinction. In this case, when she's at dinner and putting her hands in her soup, you are removing the cup, her bare cup, when she engages in the response. So you're removing something in order to punish her. So the removal is what? The removal is negative, and then we have punishment. If we look at A and B, we know it's not reinforcement because reinforcement increases behavior, and that's not what occurred here. The behavior is decreasing. It's not positive punishment because you've taken something away. You haven't added something. Well, therefore, it must be D, negative punishment. This is very similar to maybe a response cost procedure, where in response to a response, you remove something that's reinforcing or reinforcement in order to punish a behavior. Jose has learned how to prepare himself a sandwich through a task chaining procedure. Now, his behavior technician will occasionally alter things in the environment, such as moving items from their normal spot, which will force Jose to adapt to the change. What strategy is the behavior technician likely using? So we have a chaining question, and you need to know forward chaining, backwards chaining, total task chaining, and the behavior chain interruption strategy. In this case, we're looking at the behavior technician's behavior. We know Jose can prepare himself a sandwich because he learned it through a task chain. So he's able to do the response, the behavior. Now, the behavior technician is altering things in the environment, forcing Jose to adapt to the change. In other words, the behavior technician is altering that task chain. So if we look at A and B and C, those are all teaching methods: forward chaining, backwards chaining, total task. We're actually teaching the response to the behavior. So we don't know what task chaining procedure was used to get Jose to prepare himself a sandwich. We know it was effective, but A, B, and C are teaching methods. D is used once the behavior is learned, and now we want Jose to engage in different responses or to respond to situations where the chain might not go perfectly. So if the behavior technician is altering things in the chain, forcing Jose to adapt, the behavior technician is likely using a behavior chain interruption strategy. Ronald is using a reinforcement schedule with his client, where the client receives a reward after a number of correct responses. Sometimes the client is reinforced after 2 responses, sometimes after 5, and sometimes after 3, but the reinforcement is consistently delivered. What does this most resemble? All right, so reinforcement schedule question, and you want to know the 4 basic ones. We've got fixed ratio, variable ratio, fixed interval, and variable interval. In this case, we're looking at number of responses, so we know it has to be ratios. The number of responses is based on a ratio schedule, not an interval schedule. And so now it comes down to, is it fixed or is it variable? Well, the client gets reinforced after 2 responses, and then 5, and then 3. So it's not a set number. These are changing. It's going on some sort of average, some sort of consistent basis, but they are changing. And so if the number of responses are changing each time, which they are here, that most resembles B, a variable ratio. Thank you for watching. Check out btexamreview.com for all of our study materials. Make sure you subscribe. We would really, really appreciate it. When you pass, let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. See you soon.